Well, in a rare turn of events, Hannah's the one that's late today. She's been given Jack some stick, so have I. But here we are waiting for Hannah. Tick tock on the clock.
Trying to twiddle my thumbs.
I wonder where that comes from, twiddling your thumbs.
I'm looking at the history of thumb twiddling, and the article says Adelaide, Australia. Most people,
We created
no,
twiddling.
please.
Hannah done.
Hello. Without Jack, I thought you needed someone to be late.
G'day, good people. Welcome to the Grow Your Clinic podcast by Clinic Mastery. Here's what's coming up inside of this episode. What is the single most important thing you're working on right now? If you can't answer that question, you're going wrong.
I look at what's their disc profile and what are their strengths.
What is that 12-month plan? We decide what is the most impactful. Set aside half a day of planning each quarter.
So are you anti-whitespace?
Yeah, I am anti-whitespace.
I'm anti-whitespace for sure.
Your team might have a heart attack hearing this. If you have whitespace in your diary, that is free for our client connection team to book.
Practically, how do you sit down and prepare to win the week ahead?
Well, I was thinking everything I've learned from Shane, so let's start there.
This episode will be right up your alley if you've got time to work on your business, but you're not sure what to focus on to make it grow. Stick around for when Shane talks about the most underrated tool that we use to unleash productivity for clinic owners. Plus, you'll want to hear Hannah's take on how to prepare for your week so that you feel a sense of accomplishment. Before we dive in, today's episode is brought to you by allieclinics.com. If you're the kind of clinic owner who loves to feel organized and stay ahead of the chaos, you'll love Allie. Think of it as your digital clone. It's the single source of truth for all your clinic's policies, systems, and training. Test it for free at allieclinics.com. And in other news, applications are now open to work with us one-on-one at Clinic Mastery. If you want support to grow your clinic and bring your vision to life, just email hello@clinicmastery.com with the subject line podcast and we'll line up a time to chat. All right, let's get into the episode. It is episode 310, and this is a special episode because I opened up my inbox and saw this. Congratulations! Your podcast has 250,000 unique downloads. High five, everyone. Well done. Well, Shano's joining us here today. You did all the hard work. What a mate. Stepping in for Jack O'Brien, of course. But this is a thank you to all those that tune in every single week on Apple, on Spotify, and increasingly on YouTube as well for tuning in and trusting us to deliver you insights and strategies about how to grow your clinic. Well, Jack's not here to celebrate it, so we have our bestie guestie replacement, Shane Davis. Welcome to the crease, Shano.
Thank you. Great to be here on a sunny Monday afternoon.
So last week we had our bestie guestie Dan Gibbs, another founder of Clinic Mastery. This week it is Shano. If you've ever thought that recruitment is a challenge and you need help hiring, or that you want to retain your team, or you want to be more across your numbers and understanding your finances better, for so many years, in fact 10 years, Shano, you have been the go-to in the CM team for developing those assets and then rolling them out to clinic owners. For those that don't know you, although you were on a recent episode, you are the supporter and the guy behind the scenes pulling the strings, keeping everyone together and connected, right? And it's part of the reason why you've been able to grow such a massive empire of clinics and stores. I know that probably makes you feel uncomfortable, but it is an empire by most stretches. How many people are a part of this empire of yours, Shano, at the moment? How many team members?
You're right. It does make me feel uncomfortable, Benjamin. Yeah, I think I'd say between our different businesses, we've got about over 100 team members, which is super, and yeah, super grateful to work with great humans. And it also gives me a great sense of joy when we get to pay them, I'll say every second week on zero. Give myself a virtual high or fat pat on the back for the people that we get to impact and to help collectively to create those win-win outcomes for everyone. So it's good. Feels good.
Very nice. Always humble, but you've built something truly incredible and continue to create, impact in the lives of the team and the community as well. Again, I'm joined by the ever organized and always practical. Hannah Dunn, director of DOTS, an OT clinic with 30 team members in Melbourne. Hannah, has the media attention settled? Has it?
It has. It
It
has.
has?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
We did gain a few followers on socials
Okay.
and on our website, got a lot more views. So, yes, but happy to have that media attention dying down.
Yes, for those that are listening or watching in, you can go do a bit of a Google, but well done to you. You
Yes.
handled it with grace and poise and anchoring back to your key principle of good communication solves most things. So well done. Before we dive in today, a quick and warm welcome to those who've just installed Allie into their clinics to help with systems, team training, and performance management. They are Adrian, Ella, JB, Sarah, Amanda, James, and Claire. Thank you for checking out Allie. Hopefully your team are loving it. All right, let's tee this up. We hear so many clinic owners say, I want to reduce my clinical workload so that I can spend more time working on the business. And then that time becomes available and they go, now what? So the question that I have is, if everything feels important, because it kind of does, how do you decide what to do first? So you got the inbox, you got Slack, you got team members coming at you. Everything kind of feels important. How do you decide what to do first? Hannah, kick us off. What's your process for prioritization?
Yeah, absolutely. Trying to choose the thing that's going to have the biggest impact over the most areas, I guess. Like if there's something that we can choose that's going to have a big impact, if we think about all those things that you just listed, if we haven't time blocked, is time blocking going to be the first thing that we look at because it's going to have an impact on when we can do the inbox, when we're available to team, when we're able to get those projects done.
And how do you define impact? So if you're saying, okay, that's my primary filter, I'm going to choose the most impactful thing to do. Like, give me some insight, practicalities of how you determine that.
Yeah, I think first of all, is everything going to keep moving? Like, is there something that is stopping something happening? For example, have we got a process that isn't allowing us to get initial appointments booked, which is what I was just working with someone that I was just coaching on. And that's a massive flow on effect because it means that diaries aren't filled. It means clinicians are feeling like they're not sure what to do with their time. So there's all those flow on effects. And is it a quick and easy thing that we can just put a few things in place and then we can do a bit of a deeper dive later on? Um, Thinking about what are the low priority tasks, like is checking our inbox really going to make a big difference? Or is it that we can put that to the side and maybe at 2 o'clock today we can have a look at that rather than that being the big thing? I think back to eat this frog. What's it
Yeah,
called?
eat that
Eat the
frog.
frog.
You could eat this frog
Being
as well if you like.
yeah, being like get that big task out of the way first, and it will create the success for the rest of the day, and just keep flowing through.
I like it. So you're talking about impact, Shayna. What about you? If everything feels important, how do you decide what to do first?
I think it's a great question in terms of if everything is important, what do we do first? I often look at what is someone doing right now, and obviously we have gone through this process ourselves, but also in helping so many other business owners go through this process, it's also a really good learning in looking at what do the best do, what do the best do when they are, I'll say, coming off the tools or reducing their consulting time. And to your point, now they've got all of this available time in their week. I'd suggest what the best do and what we get the best to do is actually get an understanding really objectively of what are you doing at the moment? What does your day look like from a life flow perspective? And we talk life flow rather than work-life balance or alike because work is a part of your life. But what does life look like from the time you get up or wake up in the morning through to the time you go to bed? And then you get to actually see what someone is doing in their 168 hours of the week. And in breaking it down into 168 hours of the week, what a lot of people actually see is I've got all this time to be doing stuff. And yeah, importantly, what do I do now? But I think the first realization is that I have got enough time to be getting these things done. And that's a really important foundation of mindset to have because then it allows us to be able to, I'll say, backfill some of those times with the time blocks, to your point, Hannah, that are going to be impactful, essentially those quadrant two important but not urgent items that we want to be able to, yeah, time block into someone's week. So I'll get them to put in the big rocks first, yeah, as I said, personally for their own life, and then get to put in the rhythms that they're doing already, e.g., I don't know, but maybe payroll's part of what they actually do. So blocking in that 3 or 4 hours every, every second Tuesday or whatever it is, put that in if that's what you're already doing. We may not be getting them to do that forever, but at least that's in there at the start. We can massage around that to create the time blocks, yeah, to work in that important and not urgent type time.
So you're starting with a audit of where their current time is going and then
Yeah.
looking at where they go moving forward. If we go too further down this track, Hannah's going to bring up the Agendio calendar again. So we'll wait for the official sponsorship to come through. But then Shano, how do you actually determine what is the priority? Like you said, people can then just stuff the day, stuff the week with things and feel busy, but maybe not be productive. So what's the process for actually deciding what is the thing worth working on?
It's a really good point, Ben. I to find what's important for them to be working on. I'm very much a who person, but I want to be able to understand what is their genius, what's their behavioral style, because what that is for different people and different behavioral styles will be different.
Yeah.
And the sooner that I'll say we as humans understand that, and as coaches and consultants understand that, the easier it is for that person to be working in their genius on the things that are going to be impactful in their business, as well as being able to, I'll say, buy or invest in the resource that's needed to do the things that they're, hey, maybe not as good at and that they shouldn't be doing. So it's as much about looking at the things they shouldn't be doing as what they should. But to get really practical, I look at what's their disc profile. So what is the profile of their working style already and what are their strengths, and trying to work and align some of the tasks to that, as well as their wealth dynamics, which is another behavioral style that we do quite commonly here at Clean Mastery. And asking the person, like, what do you enjoy doing? What are you passionate about? What do you think you'll like? Because often it'll take, I'll say, they may say, I want to be doing more mentoring, but then they get deep in mentoring, only to go, actually, I don't really want to be doing more mentoring. I want to be doing more of this or that. So sometimes they need to make those, I'll say, mistakes themselves, but it's ongoing refinement and definitely specific to the person, the behavioral style to get, yeah, get deep in what they actually should be doing.
Yeah, nice. So again, starting with some version of a reflection is where you like to begin about where you find is best. But Hannah, what about the clinic owner that is early on in their journey, or they don't have the luxury of being able to, pass on different tasks to other team members? It's like, I'm it. It's me and maybe a couple of others. So
Yeah.
how do you guide a clinic owner who's in that position to be able to prioritize what is truly important?
Yeah, definitely around I think what Shane was talking to you around before about looking at when you get up at 5:30 a.m. through to when you go to bed at 8:30 if you're Ben.
I'm
Then
definitely not getting up at 5:30 though.
yeah.
Like, gee whiz.
Whatever time you get up to when you go to bed, doing those audits, what we find is that people will have in there like, oh, I'm available to the team, or I'm available, or I do like a bit of payroll here and then I do a bit of payroll there. And so I think once we've streamlined that and made that first the priority of finding those times, having a look at, well, if they don't have anyone else, is that where we go next? Like we spoke about in a previous episode around getting those clinicians there to support you in the business as well. Is that where we're going? Are we going to get admin support? Are we putting something external? And if it's not about another person, then we're definitely looking at systems. Are the systems in place? How can we streamline anything? Is there 5 different ways in which they're recording something or having their Google Docs not sorted? Is there simple ways we can elevate the areas in their business?
So if I'm hearing you right, you're actually saying it's let's look to hiring. If you are stuck, if you are in this position, one of the highest value things you could prioritize is who is next on the team.
Mm,
And can I do activities related to recruiting that person? Yeah,
yeah.
that's a really useful one. We often anchor back, right, to getting new clients and getting new team members as kind of the two default things that at any stage of business, if you're pursuing a version of growth, that they're kind of the two things. Like if you audit your diary, how much of your week is allocated to those things,
Mhm.
or maybe you've got a bigger team and they are delegated, how much of your budget is allocated towards achieving some of those things.
Yeah. We're talking about work here, but we also want to talk about our personal lives. And having Shane here, who I reference often in our podcast as someone that I've learned a lot from, one thing that Shane said to my husband, Wok, and me was like, sorry, what? You decide every week who is going to swimming and every week who is going to basketball. Like, yeah, on the day, it's like, oh, yeah, I haven't got too much on. I can do that. He was like, absolutely not. You stop that now. You can change term on term if you want to, but just set that in place and set that in motion. And it's such a simple thing to be like, Wok's on swimming, I do basketball, and keeping that to the terms. And we have swapped it. It was probably 2.5 years ago that we had that conversation. And it's been such a game changer. Like, I didn't realize how many conversations we were having over simple things like that. We were talking this year at the Clinic Mastery Retreat about how Wok and I have leveled that up again and made a decision on who cooks dinner each night and who's responsible for dinner, who's on lunches each day. And so that is set in stone. And so, of course, we can change that if something comes up, but it's a discussion that needs to happen because the assumption or the default is we know who is doing what, we know who is going to which gym sessions when. And it's just, yeah, really streamlined and created good flow and freed up a lot of time.
And can I ask as well, acknowledge the changes and the shifts that you've both made? Yeah, I want to understand how you feel now compared to what the feeling was that you both had at that time, and also by extension, how the kids feel now. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, you guys got three kids, obviously, and are growing with them, if that makes sense. They're
Yeah.
feeling now compared to then as well.
Yeah. Three might sound like a lot to some who are listening, but the two boys here have four each. So, um, but it's just karma. Like for us, it's not that cognitive load of throughout my workday thinking I need to message Wok and see if he can do swimming because this has run over, or, oh, I really don't want to do dinner tonight because I just am not going to make it. I need to get this done. It just creates a calm and also, the flow on effects, and we've spoken to this before, but sitting down and having the diary planned out for the week before and the 2 weeks before, all of that flowing together makes sense. And it's just that clear communication of, I actually can't do this week, or can you do this? And it just means everyone knows what's going on without a conversation, whether that be the calendar, is it you, Shane, that has it up in the pantry that every kid
Oh,
can see?
I'm outnumbered here. I'm outnumbered on digital versus paper.
And that's feeling good about
Yeah.
Stacked of chips today, haven't you? This is
Yeah.
purposeful.
I'm pretty sure he drinks coffee though.
it.
Okay,
Hey,
we got that
I
one
know
in the
your
bag.
coffee order too.
Oh, gee. So on that specifically, I love this, how do you win the week? How do you win the day? As a good little reference point, just speak practically, Hannah, to how you do that. Is it something that on a Sunday you prepare for, or you're preparing the month in advance? Like practically, how do you sit down and prepare to win the week ahead?
Yeah, so last year we tried to sit down and write out our week together. Now we're at a point where we just write out our weeks individually and make sure they're working, and then we sit down and like almost consult with each other to make sure that it's all in flow. Work also has an agendio, both loving it. So
Face
we,
palm for those that are listening. That is,
yeah,
no, but if it works, good on you.
yes.
Digital's better.
And ideally we do that on a Friday, but if something's gone astray, then
Okay.
like that might, like if we get a call from the school, for example, to pick up a kid,
Yes.
then on Sunday at the latest, we'll run through that and just make sure it's aligned. And we feel chaos if a week goes by where we haven't done it.
Yeah. So on a Friday, what you carve out an hour or so
just like half an hour.
Half an hour,
Yeah.
you've got your paper-based calendars next to one another,
Yeah.
and you're talking through this is what next week looks like. You only do 1 week at a time, and that allows you to be, in sync.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really just, is there any changes, like anything we're not aware of, like birthday party, we've got dinner at this person's house, whatever. It's just meant like we're not buying the birthday present that night before, which we used to be doing because we were like, oh, that's on tomorrow.
I'm a funny sidetrack, Maddie's. Commonly, my wife jokes to me. She's like, Ben, you got all the ideas about these birthday presents. They're brilliant, and you never pull through with them. And so I might take that. Maybe that's where the paper-based diary wins it for me.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's a great idea. Why didn't you tell me earlier?
You can write it in 2 weeks before their birthdays, and then you've got
Yeah,
it there ready to go when your idea comes two
there you
months early.
go. Well, Shana, what about you? Do some of these things also carry across into your household, or how do you prepare to win the week?
Yes, they do. And I actually work with a lot of our business owners on these things, Ben, if you weren't across it or aware. But yes, and Hannah's, I'll say, a great student of this and put so much of this into place. And by extension, now I feel that positive ripple effect that you have on your circles around you, obviously with your family, but all the members that you work with. And I'm sure your team members in the clinic at Dots as well would
Mm,
benefit these changes that you're making in being able to create flow in someone's life. So I think to your point earlier, Ben, you have joked a little bit, but we commonly say that the medium doesn't matter, whether it is paper-based, whether it is digital, whether it's a combination or hybrid of both of them. It doesn't matter. What matters is the outcome, and you've got a single source of truth and
mm,
that it gets done. And I think what is also true, it often takes people a few iterations of trying one thing, trying another, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't work to get to their version of, yeah, what's sustainable for them. So yeah, for us, we start with our big 12-month perpetual planner, physical in the pantry. And it's really practically got family birthdays on there. It's got public holiday weekends or days on there, if that makes sense. When school term starts, when school term finishes, the other blocks that we put in at the start are our family holidays. So our children, our family know when we're going on holidays. Yeah, know when we're going for a weekend away or someone's got something important on. And they're really the big blocks, if that makes sense. Know when I'm away, yeah, for work events or like, yeah, so know a lot of those things and have certainty around it. We then below that have a weekly planner, which has got each child on it. It's got each child and essentially what they're going to be doing that day, sport, extracurricular activities, what they need to bring to school. It's also got dinner on it, so the kids know what they're having for dinner. Um, right?
Great.
So they don't ask the same question every day. What are we having for dinner? And I know it's super simple, but it gives everyone in the home certainty and is not just another one of those decision fatigue things that we need to think about every day. So yeah, we have that calendar there for our family. I then have my um, I have my calendar, Ben. It's very physical, the ProFeet weekly planner, which is a version of the Agendio. But yeah, we have ours, and so I fill that out 4 weeks in advance. On a Monday, I do it religiously at 7 o'clock with a coffee on a Monday morning, and I fill that out for the next 4 weeks. And often it's, I'll say, lighter in week four. There's not a whole lot in it other than big blocks, and it's heavier and more dense in this week. But to your point, Hannah, what it often does in seeing what's happening 3 and 4 weeks in advance, it brings actions forward.
mm,
I need to organize this for that. I need to be able to get this present to your point earlier, but it brings those actions forward and makes it a lot less proactive. Sorry, makes it a lot more proactive,
mm.
a lot less reactive, which therefore helps us to be in flow or to stay in flow. And really that session for me is a bit cathartic. It's me getting the things that are in my Google Calendar, and which is my single source of truth. If something's going to go in there, I can put it on my phone, my computer, my iPad. I'm just putting a calendar invite in there so that all of that is mapped out in my GCal. And that's for personal, from the time I get up get ready, like these recurring
Mm.
things. Dinner, bath, and bed is there from 6 till 7 every night. Our date night is there from 7 to 9:30 every second Thursday. It's like it's just yeah, that is our and my single source of truth. So yeah, and I practically do that on a Monday morning every week, and it feels good.
Yeah. And you just said that it's your personal and your work, which is something that is not just a little point. Like it's something we commonly see with business owners who are like, no, they're totally separate and no, we don't have visibility of my partner's calendar or anything like that. But you are one person and that is your time. And so if you've got one action to do from today, it's to get one calendar. And it doesn't have to be, like you've said with Google Calendar, if you want to keep them in separate calendars, but at least have a view of all of them together so that you can see what you're doing. And I think that's really tricky with business owners who have a team or a small team, because what I hear often is like, oh, I'm trying to push them to have full calendars and then my calendar isn't full. And so just having the confidence to say, like, my calendar's offline, my clients are in Clinico or whatever software you're using because of the billing that needs to be attached to it, but everything else is somewhere else. And so don't assume that if it's empty, I'm not in a meeting or doing something else. I don't know, Shay might have better language around that.
This is a beautiful sort of dovetail, though, into when you're looking at your calendar for the business time. We've talked about this before, Hannah, of like, don't put admin time,
Yes.
which basically defaults to opening up your inbox. So as we, sort of drill down even further to, from win the week, win the month to win the day, how do you go about, structuring your day so that you are working on those important things? And how do they actually show up in your diary? Like we said, the time block, we don't want to call it admin time, but how do you actually set up the day so that it reflects the priority in your business?
Well, I was thinking everything I've learned, I learned from Shane, so let's start there. um,
Let's see how you've evolved it.
yes, not very far, except that I now pay more than he does for my diary. So I really like will carry things over, like and make sure, like I might have admin time booked into my Google Calendar for like 3 weeks ahead, like that this is project time is more so what I would call it, but not having those white spaces and writing into the specifics of what I'm working on when we do that Friday blocking of diaries and making sure. So I do 1 week of detailed plan. So the week ahead has in like, I don't know, desire statement meeting with X team member. And then another week ahead just has in those key things that I know are already happening, but doesn't have in the specifics of what those projects are. And then fill in those gaps that week ahead.
So are you anti-white space?
Yeah, I am anti-white space.
Okay.
I
Every
like a
minute
good
is
lunch
a, is
break.
is allocated during for the next week.
Yes, for those listening with a team, your team might have a heart attack hearing this. And I think my team did first. But essentially, if you have white space in your diary, that is free for our client connection team to book. And that doesn't mean that you have to have a client in there. It just needs to communicate. It's a communication tool. And so it needs to communicate to our client connection team what is happening in that time. So you might have in there indirect client time because you've booked it out 2 weeks ahead. But by the time that week's finished, it needs to have booked in there what happened. You can put an admin block in there if it's specific, but you need to have typed in what you've done in that time. Like I've just, I don't know, like one of them I read today was like cleaned the ball pit in the gym. Like, so it is really clear as to what's happened. Or they might have, is usually Timmy's appointment, but away till the 5th of the 8th. And then something else will be in there after that.
Yes. So Shane, you were nodding your head. You're also anti-white space.
Yeah, I'm anti-white space for sure. And I think it comes down to booking appointments with yourself.
Mm,
So you're allocating even your, I'll say, free time or your me time, yeah, or your whatever that is, going for a walk, having lunch outside. It's date night, like there, those things are booked in. Dinner, family, well, dinner, bath, and bed, I think is what I've written as. And I did our productivity session on Thursday, and I brought up with the people that were there, this is what my day looks like, and it can look like busy, can look quite busy,
Mm.
but to me, it's in flow because I know what I need to be doing at each point of the day to be able to make that day effective for me. So I'm happy to share my screen and what that looks like.
Yeah, show us your screen. Let's see.
As an example, Bennett's Digital.
And this is the productivity session that you're running for Business Academy members as part of Clinic Mastery who come along and they're looking to find more flow in their week. They're looking to make more, gains and traction in their business, and they're just stuck a little bit. So they come to this session and you help coach them through, guide them through finding that flow by looking at their calendar. Is that right?
And this is, yeah, for us as last Thursday, as you can see in here, productivity, time management, and personal flow expert session. Ben won't let me have an emoji, but that's okay. So my day up here, and you'll see the blue components. I've got it colorized. I do try and make your calendar a little bit light and bright. There's a lot of brown on there, but by putting emoji in there and putting your different calendar types in there. So I've got a walk for 60 minutes in the morning, get ready. Then I'll travel into Geelong, have meeting with Ollie, who's one of our co-owners, which I do every second week. Then travel home, or travel here in this case for a meeting with Allie, planning meeting with Allie and Rosie. Uh, white space, which is actually black. But then PT at lunchtime, into lunch, into the productivity, time management, personal flow session. Then I'm traveling down to Melbourne to this meeting and then back. Family, dinner, bath and bed, got there a bit behind, and then date night for Flick and me and home 9:30. So it looks busy looking at those days, but to me, I know exactly what I'm doing through that day to get the best outcome, yeah, for me and for the roles that I have, if that makes sense. So, to your point before, Hannah, I do learn from you. I actually think you recommended this. Did you recommend this to
Yes. Yeah, I did.
every room in Hannah's clinic? She's got a little visual time manager, which is called STOUCHI, Stouchy, off Amazon Prime. Probably can
Yeah.
get
It's
it.
mentioned on a previous podcast, I think, just
Yeah.
recently. We brought it up on
But yes,
Amazon.
Hannah recommended it to me at the CM retreat in Palm Cove, and I actioned it, bought a couple of them whilst away. So to your point of like, what do I practically do? What I don't do is book out 4 hours to work on a particular project
Mm.
because I'm just going to fill that time. What I do, I know I work best in give or take 30 to 60-minute blocks of working on a particular project. And I know if you give me that 60-minute block, I'm probably going to be able to get 80 to 90% of that thing done. And so I bought this clock, and it's even better because I'm looking at it, I'm competing with this damn clock that I've got now to get these things done. But I know that I'll then put that hour in, and I'll say this new client flow, to your point before, or new client form uh, asset that I'm trying to get done at the moment. 60 minutes, get it done, and away we go. So yes, I definitely do learn from you, Hannah, and I
Yeah.
break it down into little things that I'm really specific with what I want to get done in that particular time block.
And so that project example, Shano, how does that make it into the calendar? Coming back to where we started, how do you choose what to focus on? Is that part of a bigger plan that you have as a business? Is that just something you've chosen to work on that week? How have you made that decision to put that in there?
It goes back to impact, to Hannah's point. Some of the things that we do are rhythmic, right? Like
Mm.
we do the same thing, I'll say over.
Payroll as an example, or
Yeah, and
mentoring?
I'm not doing that, but yes, mentoring is a
Yes.
good example, or
Yep.
having our strategic meeting or having our accounting meeting, etc. A lot of those things are rhythmic, but there's going to be, we need to have time in the week to do the thing, to take the action, to get the thing done. What I choose to do in that time is based on either what's on my project. So for this 3 to 4 month project list, this is the thing that I need to do, or it's a bit more reactive. It might not be urgent, but it might be important. So,
Mm.
as an example, AI notes might not have been a project on our project list or on our strategic plan for the next 12 months until it became a thing. It's like, oh, Heidi AI or patient notes, like who's doing this thing? And we want to be early adopters. We
Mm.
want to be able to help our team to stay in flow. We want to be able to be, again, early adopters of technology. So there's going to be these things that come up reactively. And so there's space or white time, project time in my week to be able to implement those things, read about them, learn about them, and then do the necessary work to get that project off the ground to go, yes, let's do this because it's going to be impactful
Mm.
team or for our
And
clients.
just talk me through like the specifics of impact. Like you've obviously trained yourself over a many number of years to be able to spot what is impactful and not, having done it in your clinics, the dozens that you have, and also helping thousands of clinics now over the last 10 years. Just to help that person that is new to this. They're still not quite sure, well, how do I spot what's impactful? Because both of you have seen this and worked with clinic owners who you do audit their week, as you said, Shano, and you go, they just keep working on the wrong stuff. Like they're not prioritizing the impactful. So like, are there any heuristics, any practical filters that you use to determine? Is it like this is going to generate more revenue? This is going to generate more like, talk us through how you actually, what's the filter of impact?
The filter of impact, I think this comes right back to Clint Mastery and how we started, is uh, really based on the client experience and the team member experience. And it's those things that then result in sustainable, profitable clinics.
Mm.
Because if we're able to work within a framework and benchmarks of, I'll say, investment, and we're able to optimize the client experience to make that client experience even more, I'll say, of a wow experience, then we're able to essentially, our remuneration is a reflection of the value that we bring. We're able to get more value for that experience that we provide. Yes, there's some constraints with third-party providers, etc. We understand that. But in general, someone gets paid based on the value that they bring.
Mm.
Secondly, for our team, to be able to progress and to be, I'll say, sustainable and successful in their careers, they want to grow and progress. And for them to be remunerated more, they need to be delivering more value in an efficient way to the clients or to the patients that sit in front of them. So, how can we optimize that team experience to help them stay in flow so they can be efficient and, again, bring more value to themselves and the clients that sit in front of them? So, that AI example, if we're able to invest in technology that helps our clinicians and our team to be able to stay in flow and to do what is usually a pretty big pain point, getting your notes, your letters, your reports, your partners,
Mm.
etc. done. If we can make that thing easier for them to do, awesome, because they're probably going to have a more available energy to see that two or three or four or five clients in the week because we've made this thing over here easier. And whether that's Heidi AI in 2025 or in 2018, it is doing a clinico management plan within 2 minutes. I think it's probably still live on our website using keyboard shortcuts and templates. It's like, what is that thing for now that's going to help with that efficiency for our
Mm.
clinicians and optimize the client experience? Because by seeing that additional few clients, that means that they are able to, again, generate more value, more revenue, and therefore more remuneration. That's like a win-win-win for everyone.
And you were talking before, Shane, about like those spot fires and those emergency things. I think when we audit someone's business, we want to hear what those urgent things are that they're doing. And again, back to the person I was coaching this morning, they were saying, yeah, because I need to be available to like the new grads when they haven't been able to have their reports read. So I'm reading those reports. It's like, okay, great, but can we systemize that? Can we say that on Monday and Thursday at 2 o'clock, that's when you read those? And so then your flow isn't
That's the
interrupted.
rhythms, yeah. Like that's the
Yeah.
rhythms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All those rhythms that are urgent, like what are they and can we systemize them?
Shano, I'm mindful you're going to have to drop off the line in just a moment. Thank you for your contributions. Hannah, I want to pick your brains on impact uh, further. As we go to that, you mentioned eat this frog or eat that frog, whatever your choice. You can have both.
Yeah.
And really, the emphasis there for mine is like, what is the single most important thing? And perhaps amongst all of this, I think where clinic owners struggle the most is identifying the single most important thing right now, because everything feels important. And like you said, okay, I need time to respond and react to the new grad that's here. Oh, eat that frog, sharing it on screen. That's beautiful. It's a good book because it's really short, which is fantastic. Going back to that point there, which you broke my flow. So let me just rewind. The single most important thing. On any given time period, let's call it 1 month to 3 months, I think it's super important to have one major thing that you're working on and other things which maybe you're able to kick the can down the road on a little bit because you've got to nurture that new grad, or you've got to respond to this client complaint, or you've got to react to some financial things that have happened. There's a mess in the books. The bookkeeper hasn't kept things up to date, right? That's always going to happen. But if I was to ask you, like, what is the most important thing you're working on right now? That should be clear as day. Like this month, we are working on generating new clients through digital advertising. This month, we are, setting up our onboarding for the new group of practitioners that are joining us, at the end of the month or the end of the quarter. Or we are working on the new client journey experience. Now, there's a whole host of other things that are also happening at the same time because that's business. But this is the single most important thing that we're working on, and what does success look like when that's implemented? So I'd probably say to clinic owners that if you can't answer that question, you're going wrong. What is the single most important thing you're working on right now? Because to your point, Hannah, it's like people have like 7 things they're working on. So do I. But there has to be one that you're prioritizing in the calendar. So when you think of impact, and Shana, if you need to jump off, feel welcome to do so. Thank you for your contributions and insights.
I'll do that. I'll do that as well. And but yeah, thank you for today. I'll just give one small practical tip. We talk about like email inbox and getting flooded by responding or replying to emails. There's one tip someone gave it to me, I can't remember how long ago, but search unsubscribe in your email inbox and unsubscribe to probably the 30 or 40 things that come through to your email each week. Because when I look at clinic owners' emails and see all of the stuff that they've subscribed to over time, even just deleting or archiving those things takes up mental energy. So just do that and minimize the stuff that actually comes through on email.
Stay subscribed to the Clinic Mastery newsletter, though. Subscribe from everything else.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Shano. So Hannah, you also spoke about impact.
Yeah.
Shano's given his insight into how he would think through it. What are kind of the ingredients of, deciding on the most impactful thing to work on? How does that work for you? What are the criteria of most impactful things?
Yeah, I think all aligns with what Shane says in regards to that impact that it's going to have. I think one thing that Shane said that we skipped over a bit was he's like, on my 12-month plan, I've got this. And it's like, yes, what is that 12-month plan? And so I think we decide what is the most impactful as a team of leaders, where we sit down and we set aside half a day of planning each quarter, and we say, right, where are we at? What are we working on? And we revisit the goals we set for the 12-month plan and make sure that they still align with what Shane was saying. All of a sudden there's Heidi that maybe you want to bump the current goal, but it's done in a considered and not reactive way. So making sure that you have a 12-month plan or a version of a 12-month plan about what you're going to work on in each quarter, and then revisiting to make sure that that is still the priority. And then, as you said, have that one project that you're working on. And for us at the moment, that is our team pathways. It's something that we've had in place. There's been a few changes to the way our leadership work. It's become not as clear as it previously was, but that is our one big project that I'm working on. Other people in the team have other projects, which I'm fortunate to have that team. Another example is our 0 to 100 is something, those first 100 days of onboarding we've done, we think, quite well now, but we haven't had an onboarding training for people who are moving from a clinician into a mentor. And so we've got someone developing our mentor training to make sure that we're all doing the same thing there. So lots of different projects, and I think it's about, yeah, what is going to have the most impact? What is that sticking point at the moment? And when we say impact, I really think about what is impacting team morale, what is impacting our clients, what is that thing that if you did a survey to the team, you'd get a 5 or below on, or
Out of 10, out of
out of
10
10,
years.
yep. Or if you sent it out to your clients, do you know what that sticking point is? And really thinking about what is going to have that impact on the team.
Yeah, great. Okay, so you're also using that lens of clients and team predominantly, and
Mm,
then your choice there of like, what is the sticking point? What is maybe a problem or a challenge that keeps coming up and
mm,
it's causing dissatisfaction, frustration, and we want to be able to solve for that.
mm,
That's a really good point. How do you think about then the goals on the 12-month plan? Because you spoke to that as well. You said, maybe we've got this backlog of projects that we want to work on, new systems, new initiatives, new campaigns, etc. And I like that distinction of while we might intend to do this, no, none of us have a crystal ball. So in 9 months' time, we don't
mm,
want to just work through this project because we said we would, and it's not actually the right thing right now.
mm,
So getting clear on what is the outcome, what does
mm.
success look like, or what is the goal or objective, however you want to frame that up. How do you go about deciding on what that goal is as a team? Is there a certain set of questions you use, a framework that you use?
I feel like it's one of those times when you know you're a supervisor and the student says, Why do you do this?" And you think, I just do it because I do. I got to think about the theory behind why. Um, Yes, I think it's because we're aware of what we feel like. Like we might rank them, we might brain dump and just say, like,
Yes.
what are all the projects that we need to work on? And then we'll try and fit them into our spreadsheet that has, we use a version of the Clinic Mastery one, but then we've also added a column at the end that's future ideas. And that means that we can
Nice.
pull ideas in or put them out if it's not, I think Shane would hate to hear that, because he's very planned, but it just creates a bit of leniency, I think, in not feeling like we have to have locked in that whole 12 months, but knowing that we have locked it in and that there is space to change that if it needs to be changed.
Yes.
Um, yeah, I really think we're thinking about the impact that we're having on the team and what is a sticking point. Like if it is getting those clients in, if it is the progression pathways, if we've done exit interviews and we're getting similar themes happening, um, then maybe that's something to look at. If you've got doing 3-month reviews with your team and you're hearing different things or the same thing, then maybe that's a project to work
Yes.
on.
It's a really great point, and I think each of us are going to be different. Like the way
Mm,
you do it, the way Shane does it. There's similarities, there's differences. The way I do it, there's similarities and there's differences. Perhaps just the principles that are consistent across are
mm,
that, there is an outcome that's defined. This is the thing we're looking to achieve or influence in the business. For instance, it is client satisfaction as
mm,
part of the new client journey. And so we're going to work on the systems there from the emails, the messages, the way the first appointment runs. And ultimately, it culminates in new patient satisfaction when they fill in the net promoter score, after their first session. Or it's we need to be able to fill the books of this new site or location so that
mhm,
we can hit break even, and we've got break even defined, and therefore we know how many clients we need to hit. So we're going to work on these campaigns. That's probably the problem that I see a lot of clinic owners run into is they focus on projects over progress. I use that
mhm.
kind of alliteration
Yeah.
because they don't first think, what are we trying to achieve here? It's not to have a new client journey necessarily.
Mm,
It's to create satisfied clients or, to get client outcomes. Okay, well, we believe the new client journey is going to be instrumental in making that happen consistently and consistently well. But how
mm.
do I know that I've actually made progress along that dimension? I,
Yeah.
I
So,
think that's probably one of the key things people miss is they
mm,
rush to do a project because they heard it was the right thing to do or
yeah.
something to do. And they don't actually think, what is the outcome? And then compared to other outcomes, is this the thing worth pursuing now? For instance, I've had a couple of people like they'll spend 3 months working on cancellations. And
Mm.
like that will be useful, but it'll bring it from like 15% down to 12% cancellations. And
Mm.
it's like, okay, that commercially makes a difference. But if you'd have chosen to work on new patients or rebooking and put the same amount of effort into that, it would have had magnitudes more impact
Yeah.
in the business than picking cancellations and did not attends.
Mm.
So that's not to say that doesn't have any value. It's just being able to weigh it up, I think, is super important in the context of other things. So now, as I talk through that, like how do you go about making sure the team aren't pursuing a whole bunch of low value actions
Yeah.
that they just want to do?
Yeah, definitely. And I think that comes back to making sure that our leadership team is on the same page and that we are reviewing goals that anyone else is working on and making sure that we're making those tweaks of where the focus should be, as you were just talking about. Um, and it comes back to what you were saying about creating smart goals for ourselves, like that we make sure we've got those smart goals in place so that it's really clear and tangible. So, for example, like as you said about like creating pathways for our team, having a smart goal around our team can tell us their own pathway opportunities by the end of quarter 3, with the use of a visual as well, or whatever you want to have in there. And so, yeah, making it really clear and measurable, because when you write out those measurable goals, you might realize that that 3% increase on cancellation is actually better served by increasing your new referrals by 5% or 10%. And so, really looking at what can be measured.
Yeah. I remember the course guides or program outlines at university. And they
Mm.
would say the objectives of this course are A, B, C, and D. By the end of the term or semester or year, you will have been able to do these things. And in a similar way, when it comes to picking projects, I think that's one example of a useful framework of, by the end of the quarter, we will be able to have A, B, C, and D. And so we're going to pursue this, particular project.
Mm.
And perhaps I think to take it to another level, it's like, why has this been chosen over something else? And that might be that it isn't the highest dollar thing, but emotionally, like the stress,
Yeah.
frustration, challenges that are coming through from clients, team, or yourself. But so long as you're aware of that, I think what we're trying to do is just bring like a conscious awareness to what you're pursuing and choosing, because you can easily look back at the month, the quarter, the year and go, gee, I felt busy, but I really don't have a lot to show for it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you touch on such a valid point of like when we're saying like come up with these goals, instead of coming up with these goals, thinking about like what do I hate most? What has really impacted me the most is like a really easy way to then think about, well, what's the opposite of that? And is that my goal?
I love that. I love that. So much of this is asking a good question or a variety of different questions to
Mm.
elicit some critical thinking about the answers. Well, that's been a great insight. Despite talking about paper diaries for so long, I know I say that with tongue in cheek and agree that it's less about the method that you use, so long as that it is sustainable, it's used, and that you feel like you're making progress. So thanks
Mm.
again for sharing so openly. And for folks listening or watching, head over to clinicmastery.com/podcast for past recordings, show notes, and links to anything that we've talked about. And we'll see you on another episode very soon. Thanks, Hannah.
Thank you. See you.
Bye bye.